cities that were architecturally very planned.
Some of the oldest cities on Earth were built by a civilization whose written language has refused to reveal its secrets for over 100 years. Egyptian hieroglyphs eventually revealed their stories, but the Indus script remains silent, leaving historians baffled. No kings, no wars, no epic tales, only cities, trade networks, and symbols that guard their secrets. How did a civilization build one of the world's first urban societies and then disappear without leaving a single readable word? The answer lies in the Indus Valley Civilization, and its story challenges everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. Long before classical India, long before empires and written epics, a highly organized civilization flourished across what is now Pakistan and northwestern India. Known today as the Indus Valley Civilization or the Harappan Civilization, it emerged around 2600 BCE and thrived for nearly 7 centuries. It stood alongside Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt as one of the world's earliest urban societies, yet it followed a path unlike any other. While other civilizations celebrated power through kings and monuments, the Indus people invested in systems that supported everyday life. That quiet choice would later shape how history remembered them. At its height, the Indus Valley Civilization covered more than 1.25 million square kilometers, making it geographically larger than both ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. This was not a single city-state or empire, but a network of carefully planned cities, towns, and villages connected by shared standards and practices. Among these settlements, 2 names dominate archaeological history: Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. These were not accidental growths over time. They were deliberately designed urban centers, revealing a society that valued order, coordination, and long-term planning. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were built on precise grid systems, with streets intersecting at right angles and neighborhoods clearly organized. Houses were constructed using standardized baked bricks, the same proportions found across hundreds of sites. This level of uniformity suggests a civilization guided by shared rules rather than individual authority. What is striking is that this planning was not focused on elite spaces. Instead of palaces or royal compounds, the most sophisticated structures served the public. One of the most remarkable achievements of the Indus Valley Civilization was its sanitation system. Homes had access to private wells or shared water sources, and wastewater flowed through covered drains beneath the streets. These drainage systems were carefully engineered, maintained, and cleaned, indicating civic responsibility rather than forced labor. In Mohenjo-daro, the Great Bath stands as one of the earliest examples of monumental public water architecture, likely used for ritual or communal purposes. This focus on cleanliness and infrastructure reveals a civilization that prioritized collective well-being over display of power. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley Civilization left no evidence of kings, queens, or ruling dynasties. There are no large statues glorifying rulers, no royal tombs, and no inscriptions celebrating military victories. Authority appears to have been decentralized, possibly managed by councils, merchants, or civic administrators. This absence of visible hierarchy challenges modern assumptions about how ancient societies functioned. Order in the Indus world seems to have been maintained through shared norms rather than fear or conquest. Trade played a central role in sustaining this order. Archaeological discoveries confirm that the Harappans were deeply connected to long-distance trade networks stretching across Central Asia, Mesopotamia, and the Persian Gulf. Indus seals and goods have been found in modern-day Iraq, while Mesopotamian records refer to a distant land called Meluha, widely believed to be the Indus region. Trade required trust, regulation, and standardization, all of which the Indus people achieved without centralized kingship. This suggests a sophisticated economic system built on cooperation rather than domination. Thousands of seals discovered across Indus sites provide further insight into this system. Carved with animals and symbols, these seals were likely used to mark ownership, authenticate goods, or identify traders. However, the symbols remain undeciphered. Despite decades of research, the Indus script has not yet been conclusively read. This lack of readable texts leaves historians reliant on material evidence rather than written narratives, forcing a different approach to understanding the civilization. It raises the possibility that the Indus people valued function over record-keeping, leaving behind systems rather than stories. Population estimates show that Harappa alone may have housed over 23,500 residents, covering about 150 hectares during its peak between 2600 and 1900 BCE. This made it one of the largest cities of its time. Yet skeletal remains reveal relatively low levels of violence, and weapons are scarce in archaeological records. Fortifications exist, but appear more designed to control flooding than defend against enemies. This suggests a society that was largely peaceful, focused on stability rather than expansion. Environmental factors played a significant role in shaping Indus urban life.
Indus Valley is one of my all-time favorite civilizations.
The civilization developed along the Indus River system, which provided fertile land, but also posed risks. Geological evidence shows that Mohenjo-daro experienced repeated flooding, with entire sections rebuilt multiple times. Rather than abandoning the city immediately, the inhabitants adapted, elevating structures and reinforcing platforms. This resilience indicates a deep understanding of their environment and a willingness to respond to challenges rather than retreat from them. Recent research suggests that Harappa may have been developed or expanded as environmental conditions worsened around Mohenjo-daro. While Mohenjo-daro shows repeated flood damage, Harappa appears to have been strategically positioned in a more stable area. This points to urban adaptation rather than sudden collapse. The civilization responded to environmental stress by redistributing populations and resources, demonstrating flexibility rather than fragility. By around 1900 BCE, climate patterns across the region began to change more dramatically. Monsoon systems weakened, and river courses shifted or dried up entirely. Agriculture, which relied on predictable water cycles, became increasingly difficult. Instead of dramatic destruction or invasion, settlements were gradually abandoned as people moved eastward toward more reliable water sources. The civilization did not collapse in a single moment. It slowly transformed. This gradual transformation explains why the Indus Valley Civilization appears to vanish from history. Without monumental records or conquest narratives, its decline left little trace in later texts. Cultural practices continued in modified forms, influencing later societies in the region, but the urban centers themselves were eventually forgotten. When later civilizations rose, they inherited fragments rather than full memories. Modern archaeology continues to reshape our understanding of the Indus world. As of 2025, more than 1,400 Harappan sites have been identified, many of them still unexcavated. Satellite imagery, climate modeling, and environmental archaeology are revealing how interconnected and adaptive this civilization truly was.
This whole civilization, they still have not found any political or governmental buildings.
Each new discovery challenges older assumptions that equated complexity with hierarchy and power. The Indus Valley Civilization presents an alternative model of human development. It shows that large-scale urban life does not require emperors, constant warfare, or monumental ego. Instead, it demonstrates how cooperation, standardization, and long-term planning can sustain a society for centuries. This perspective feels especially relevant today, as modern societies grapple with sustainability and collective responsibility. History often remembers the loudest voices and the most aggressive expansions. The Harappans chose a different path, and in doing so, they faded quietly from popular memory. Yet their cities endured longer than many empires built on force. Their systems worked, their people adapted, and their society remained stable for generations. The real mystery of the Indus Valley Civilization is not why it disappeared, but why we overlooked it for so long. Its story challenges our assumptions about power, progress, and success. It reminds us that greatness does not always announce itself, and that some of the most effective human systems leave behind the least noise. If this story has changed the way you think about ancient history, consider what it suggests about our own world. What kind of civilization do we want to build, and what kind do we want to be remembered as? If you value thoughtful, evidence-based explorations of the past, like this video, subscribe and stay curious. Some of the most important lessons in history are not written in stone monuments, but in the quiet systems that allowed people to live together, adapt, and endure.